you can leverage our scenes and overlays and profiles, all these features to literally just be able to hit next and work through a presentation, a show, a video, whatever it is that you're creating really easily and seamlessly. And ideally, that saves you a ton of time in that post-production editing space.
This is On Camera, On Brand, a show for professionals who want to look good on camera, but don't have the time or expertise to turn their office into a Hollywood studio. In each episode, Rob Ruscher uncovers how professionals can get the most from their home or office setups. If you invest the time to share your stories on camera, you should be on brand.
Hello and welcome to another episode of On Camera, On Brand. I'm your host, Rob Ruscher. Today, I am joined by Katie Fawkes, who is the Director of Marketing at Ecamm Network. For those that don't know, Ecamm Live is a software that turns your Mac into a video production and live streaming studio. In this episode, Katie and I discuss the trends in video content, ways to add production value, and how to best try out Ecamm Live for the first time. I hope you all get as much out of this one as I did. Katie, welcome to On Camera, On Brand. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me.
And those that don't know you, can you just give a brief kind of who you're working for, your title, maybe what you do day to day?
Yeah, sure. So hi, I'm Katie Fawkes, and I'm the Director of Marketing at Ecamm. We make a really powerful live streaming and video production software that people use for just about everything in the world of video, from improving their Zoom calls to live streaming to YouTube and Facebook to creating video podcasts, course materials, and everything in between.
Yeah, and so how did that, because obviously video is so much more accessible now. It's very easy and affordably, you can get a couple nice webcams, 1080, even 4K now. When did Ecamm, how long has Ecamm been around, and what was maybe the first iteration? What was the first kind of product they put out there, if you know?
I do. So Ecamm, if you don't know us, is founded by twin brothers, and we've been in business for about 25 years now. So we've been around for a really long time. One of the original softwares that they made was a call recorder for Skype. So to help record some of your Skype calls. Ecamm Live, which is our live streaming tool, as I said, is about 5-ish years old. And it really kind of came out of this growth of Facebook Live. And the Ken and Glenn, our co-founders, joke that they were driving down the highway one day and saw like a huge billboard for Facebook live streaming. And they were like, Facebook is doing billboards? This must be like an important big thing happening in this space. And so since they were already so in that video world as it was, that they started just thinking through how they could make live streaming and video production easier for people. So that is where Ecamm Live came from. But yeah, we've had the pleasure of being in this space from basically the beginning of live streaming, and it's just been a really fun evolution from what you were able to do then, which was pretty limited, to what you're able to create now, which is impressive. As you said, like what used to be millions of dollars in equipment and was restricted to a television studio is now possible in our homes, on the go in just about every possible format with pretty impressive quality.
Yeah, and we'll jump into it more. I don't want to skip ahead too much, but I think, honestly, just software that's able to take, it's just fun seeing a lot of technology come together at the same time. And I come from the commercial side, so a little bit different, more like, in the studio, out in the field, on location. So I'm used to the bigger version of it. So it's really cool to see that software that basically puts like a TV truck into my computer.
Yep.
But now at the same time, I finally have a laptop I feel like is powerful enough, the MacBook Pro with the M1 chip.
Yeah.
All that. So it's kind of fun to see everything starting to catch up. And I'm always amazed of like how much you can do, in your home office. And right now, as I told you before, I'm in between moving. So as I'm building my basement studio, I'm in my son's room just trying to make it work. But
it looks awesome.
Yeah. So what about as terms of, I think when I first heard of Ecamm, it was during the pandemic, and I think a lot of gamers were using it. I just heard that, and so I'm sure that's popular. Have you seen trends of like who is using Ecamm?
Oh my gosh. Our audiences have changed so dramatically over the last few years. I would say pre-pandemic, the majority of folks who were using Ecamm were the marketing professionals and entrepreneurs who were trying to leverage, live streaming and video production to get their business out there. the pandemic brought us a ton of really incredible audiences. So the first kind of big wave was everyone that was physically on a stage or doing in-person events. So that's inclusive of, churches and houses of worship who are doing, regular services every single weekend, or you need to connect with their membership with all of their church attendees. And then we had musicians, magicians, people who were on stages at like really large events that were moving into the virtual space, educators and, teachers of all kinds who were recording videos and doing course materials. And we've maintained all of those customers as things have kind of gone back to normal. People have really mixed together video and live streaming alongside what they do in person. So yeah, it's a pretty mixed bag. We split it into 3 different use cases of our software. So we have folks who are live streaming. We have folks who are recording videos, and that could be anything from, longer tutorials, trainings, YouTube videos to short reels, TikTok videos, promotional marketing videos. And then the third side is that a number of people will actually use our virtual camera. So we have the ability to use Ecamm as a production studio in other video conferencing and event apps. So that's like things like Zoom. I'm using it right now into Riverside, which we're using to create this podcast. Yeah, any, Teams, Meet, any of those places where you have meetings and, you're joining together in video worlds digitally with people, you can use Ecamm as your camera, which allows you to just do a lot more increased functionality and kind of improve that camera quality in those spaces.
Yeah, and that's actually what I assume maybe the virtual camera came later as a feature as that became more popular. And that's actually what really drew me to wanting to learn Ecamm.
Yeah.
Because maybe I just overthink things and have the higher production value. But but I do see, even with some of the clients I've started to accumulate and consult on, as I told you earlier, it's like it's starting to go from, okay, yeah, the gear's good, get that first. But once you're looking good, like the next almost layer is to add in some software that can make things really easily, or make changes and boost the productivity without really doing much. And I know with Ecamm they make it easy with the Stream Deck if you have that, and I was able to just set scenes so I could build, just instead of saying, hold on 1 second, let me share my screen or this, you can just push a button and flow.
Hold. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's an interesting conversation because I don't think everyone gets it, and that's fine, if they don't want to push or invest in that and they're not sure. But it does seem that the early adopters, whether it's getting better looking cameras or just lighting themselves and being able to switch, angles, they're building their audience a lot faster, it seems. Yeah. And even with Ecamm, it's like you guys are almost now building a network to watch. I love Marshall's series, and I mean docs. I love everyone's stuff it's really entertaining. So I'm curious on that side, how did that come about? Kind of building out those shows. I just think that's really cool too.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So I joined the team about 4 years ago, and prior to my joining, there was no marketing. We're still a really small team, but we had no marketing team whatsoever. Ken and Glenn, our co-founders, had not really done a lot of marketing. It was just sort of this viral word of mouth experience for people. But we had, as I'm sure you can imagine, a lot of really influential content creators and, YouTubers and folks who have much larger brands and businesses than we do. And so they really were looking for the ability to talk to other people within our network, to, help and to educate. They were always like, we'd be happy to come onto one of your shows. We'd be happy to, talk with your co-founders and get to know you better. So it was really born out of that and just their kind of love of giving back and of just, showing off all the cool things that they're doing, that we started thinking, well, hey, we're making this live streaming software where we should go live. We should do some live shows and learn, what those experiences are like for our customers, but also be able to showcase how cool this software is and what's possible. So it started as a show we did called Meet the Pros, where we brought on just some of our more kind of expert customers and asked them what they were creating, what they were doing. And we each on the team rotated at who was the interviewer for those episodes. And then it grew from there as we sort of got to know our customer base a little bit better. We have a really robust community. So we have over 20,000 active members on a Facebook group and in a Discord server. And so, we really try to facilitate the ability for those folks to be able to interact with us and kind of have built up this almost TV station kind of opportunity on YouTube where we can feature different voices and different kinds of creators and all kinds of different things to show people what's possible with video these days.
Yeah, I think it's just an exciting time, especially in like the world of marketing, which is what I'm in a lot, and B2B, because what you're just describing is almost what a lot of these companies are trying to do, whether it's like with a video podcast or the consistent content that if they can put out good, valuable information, it just builds their brand. I'm sure, have you guys seen like a big growth at all with subscriptions, like as you've been doing? You have. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, certainly part of that is the pandemic. Everything needed to move really quickly online, and we're lucky enough to be in an industry where our product is incredibly visual, right? So we get a lot of people who are like, how are you doing that? How are you showing up in a Zoom call like that? How are you getting, multiple camera angles like that? How did you create those YouTube videos? And so our customers are constantly, whether they're part of our affiliate program or just in general, they're constantly showing how incredible the software is through all of the amazing things that they're doing. So referral remains our largest channel, and I assume will always be our largest channel as more and more people are just out there creating videos and showing everyone what's possible.
Yeah, and I think that's like, and I love that because as I've seen on the like branded side, it always, whichever network, like whether it was Facebook and then Instagram and whichever one like took on video sooner, video always became the most like clicked on, so I think, you're building that, but it seems like other companies might have similar software as you guys did, but you also were able to build like content around it. And it just seems like such a cool, because I'm sure you got way better at the software.
Oh, yeah.
Now all your people using, like all the clients using the software are better at it, so it just makes everyone look, it's a really cool thing. It just, I don't know how to describe that. People helping people. I don't know. That's wedding crashers. But I think that's a really cool thing. And it just like, it hits perfectly with what I'm seeing like on LinkedIn and in my network that, these big like software companies are trying to almost build media companies to push out, good content that they're doing. They're not paying someone else to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really great. How about in terms of like the channels even like your users or channels you follow, are there any trends you see that like are working or things that people are doing that are just like helping build their brand or get more followers, maybe whatever their goal kind of is with that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I would say we've seen two pretty large trends over the last couple of years that are staying pretty strong. One is the rise of podcasting and video podcasting, which I'm sure as everyone watching and listening is well aware of, that, now that we have YouTube in this space as well, they just launched YouTube podcasts and have been updating it even as early as last week. So I think that's going to make that space a lot more dynamic and open up a lot more opportunities for people. So it kind of blurs the lines now between what is a live stream, what is a video, and what is a podcast. I think those who are really creative and clever are going to be able to create content once that fits in all those spaces and is able to amplify their audience out. So we've been really working a lot on that and helping, all of our customers just better understand what's possible there. The other is live selling and live shopping. So, again, the rise of Amazon Live and just a number of other opportunities as far as monetization goes. Our customers are always like, how do I monetize? How do I use this video to be able to make money? And traditionally, we've always been of the notion to help them figure out, how you can build a community and use your video production, not so much to get these large, huge sponsorships, which are significantly more difficult, but really to be able to use your video as a marketing vehicle to get more, folks back into your funnel and to get more people, aware of your business and shopping your products and services. But now, you also have all of these other monetization options with, live selling, putting QR codes more into your video and, driving people back to, a downloadable PDF or a book that you're selling or any kind of products. So there's, I think, a lot of opportunity there as well. But I would say those are probably the two biggest that we've seen anyway in the last little bit, and what I think will continue to grow. I'm sure there's tons of others as well out there, but for us, those are our two main kind of focus points for this year.
Yeah, no, and I think as just things are getting a little bit easier, less connections, and it's not that hard to get a good camera. And then, the
Yeah.
software is not that complicated. I know there's tons of resources obviously online, but even just first opening it, I was able just to kind of click around and play. And the live selling, that's an interesting thing because I feel like there'd probably be a lot of similarities with people that are doing consulting or demoing software. Specifically, I always think it would be so awesome to have a software like Ecamm.
Yeah.
Because like you can have like maybe there's a web browser you have if you want to reference a product or something, you want to bring it up, you can just have that. You don't have to worry about sharing everything on your screen. It's kind of preset. And then you have like your presentation as a page, and then you have your main camera. I think it's a great way, and it's fun that people are just creating things with these products and the cameras, and then it's almost like, oh, that's a cool idea. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, the video pitch decks have become really popular. So, rather than saying, okay, I'm gonna try to, get on a call or do these Zoom meetings or presentations in front of potential clients. Instead, we have, a lot of our members who are doing things like, using Ecamm to record a video where, like you said, they're able to really flow through exactly, what they are able to offer a client or a potential client, and then send that video to them, right? So that's a much more effective pitch than an email or, going back and forth and trying to get on, a short call to talk through. You're able to actually show what you're capable of doing, what the experience is like, and really be able to personalize that message. And you're able to do it pretty quickly and really professionally if you can get it into, a set template of how you want it to look and sound and what you want the feeling to be like. So there's a lot you can do with video, and the customers we have who have figured out, oh, okay, if I just leave Ecamm on in the background, like I can be basically always recording to some extent and able to use that video in more ways than you would have initially imagined, whether that's little video clips or maybe it's just pulling out the audio and sending it through to different places. But the more you're recording and getting more familiar and comfortable with it, the more opportunities you have with what you can do with that content.
Yeah. And I think there's like, even if you're someone that is, doing the video podcast, obviously you don't need like the best, greatest cameras, just good enough, looks good.
Yeah.
But what I love is, because the gear I have like a Sony FX3 and an FX9, and I have these big cameras. And before, even just to do a simple product video or something for one of my sponsors, it was like a big production, and then you're having like, a couple hundred gigs to try to make this like a 60-second and like a 2-minute video.
Yep.
So yeah, I love when I started for whatever reason, I never kind of thought of using my computer as like a home studio, just because my experience is just coming up with trucks and dumping it off at this location and kind of building the set there. But yeah, I think it's really cool because I think there's more that people are going to be doing with this software, beyond web broadcasts.
Yeah.
Which is really exciting. And I know we're coming up close-ish to time. Was there anything I missed or anything you thought is cool or unique about Ecamm? Or I'm looking through my questions too, but I just didn't know if you had anything else that I wasn't talking about.
Yeah, I mean, we've been on this kick lately, and this is probably a little bit more specific to video podcasting, but I think the approach is possible in a number of different formats. But we've been in this kind of like live to tape format. So what makes a tool like Ecamm really special is that if you can do some of the like storyboarding and planning work up front, a tool like Ecamm makes it significantly easier for you, whether you're live streaming it or you're recording it. You can leverage our, scenes and overlays and profiles, all these features to literally just be able to hit next and work through a presentation, a show, a video, whatever it is that you're creating really easily and seamlessly. And ideally, that saves you a ton of time in that post-production editing space. Many of us don't do hardly editing at all because we're by and large live streaming, and then we're literally just like trimming off like, an intro beginning or maybe like a live Q&A at the end, and just, maintaining that middle meat and potatoes part of our video and audio to be able to use and leverage in different ways. So I think, we're in a time now where everyone is really, really busy, and a lot of these projects seem really daunting. And it's, you're like you said, you're like, okay, I got to spend like all this time and hire out all these people, and I got to go through this really complicated, lengthy editing process. And I think if we can really be clever with how we're using our time and do a little bit more planning on the, on the beginning part of it, and get a little bit comfortable with the fact that it doesn't need to be perfect. We can still provide a ton of content and a ton of helpful information and be really great resource to our customers and potential customers without spending a ton of time, going through every single step and removing every single like and and ah and recording and re-recording and re-recording. The live to tape process, I think, does simplify in many ways that workflow and makes it a lot easier for us to just focus on the actual content itself and delivering what we need to our customers.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I the other thing that struck me as you were saying this with the pages, I know you can create like multiple almost projects. I don't know how to word it, but if I set
we
up
call
like
them profiles. Yeah.
profiles, okay, because I know, I mean, marketers and everyone in B2B, they love automations. Anytime you can do one thing once and then just
Exactly.
redefine, you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
So in this example, I could have maybe one set up for a presentation I do.
Yep.
Maybe I have one set up for like a typical consulting call, whatever it is. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And how long does it take to set those up usually?
Oh gosh. I mean, it depends on how in depth they are. So I probably have about 20 or 30 of them set up on my Ecamm right now. And they're like both for shows as well as for specific use cases, like you were saying. So, I have one that's like my traditional Zoom call one where, it's pretty simple, but it has like a number of settings to just make sure that, I'm looking at my best and I have some functionality and flexibility there. Whereas one like my video podcast has all of the overlays and sound effects and, our intro music and all of that already all programmed in. So when I switch over to that, I'm ready to go. But yeah, they don't take long to set up. It's dependent on how complicated, the show or the settings are that you need to make. You can also duplicate them. So if you've kind of set up like a base one that has all of your basic settings, and then you're just, adding different graphics or things on top of it, that could take minutes, depending on, one that's much more complicated. But it is nice. Like I have one that's, for presentations that I give. So when I'm asked to speak, for example, at a virtual event or send in, a video, I record everything in Ecamm. I'll even live stream it to like a friend. So I have someone there and I can see like feedback coming through, because I feel like it calms me down and helps me to just present much better than if I'm just staring into a camera, knowing that I can hit stop or pause and freak out and re-record it again. Sometimes getting all the way through it is more helpful for me than worrying about multiple takes. So yes, I can have a profile for that as well and be able to work through those different styles of presentations.
Yeah, and it's also the other thing I like, and I mean, I'm obsessed with my Stream Deck. I think those are great. But for any scenes and cameras, you can just make like a keyboard shortcut, right, to change to scenes. Sure, so anyone that just has more of a basic setup and wants to do nothing but maybe a camera, a presentation page full screen, and then them with, in the like a circle or whatever, you could just do like a command 1, 2, 3 and just change that, which I think is great. What's the best way, do you think, for people to get started? I know there's like, you guys have a 2-week free trial for anyone that's curious. What do you recommend for people that are just trying to dive in and check it out, see if it's something they can use?
Yeah, the best way with us would be to grab the trial and play around with it, push the buttons, as you said. We do a live demo and Q&A on our YouTube channel every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, which is just a really like welcoming, friendly time. Our community manager, Doc Rock, goes through in like a comical kind of way and takes any kinds of questions and is, distracted with everything that you throw at him, which is just kind of fun to see what's possible. And then, as I said, we have 2 different community spaces that are open to everyone, whether you're an active customer or not. One on Facebook, which you can get to by going to ecamm.tv/community. And then a Discord server, which you can get to by going to ecamm.tv/Discord. And those are great because we, again, have a pretty active customer base, and they're always sharing, questions. They're recommending gear to each other. They're testing and playing. You can stream into those spaces to practice. So if you're like, I just want to see what this looks like, but I don't want to go out to, anywhere that is scary, like it's a safe space to be able to, practice and push buttons and bring guests on where, people on the other end are able to help if something goes wrong or if you have any questions that come up along the way.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I'll add those links in the description too. And the YouTube definitely was a great resource. And what about you? I'm curious, how are you using the software kind of day to day? Are you doing a lot of different things? I assume probably other podcasts you're on and a lot of the live streaming I've seen you on. And on LinkedIn too, you guys have some live streaming.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I use it multiple times a day for just about everything. I co-host with Doc Rock, who is our community manager. We do a video podcast every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. We live stream it, and then that kind of kicks off our podcasting workflow. I do a personal podcast with my best friend all about 90s movies on Thursday nights. I'm a guest on a number of different, live shows and podcasts, which is always a pleasure. We host a huge virtual event every year. So this year it's all about live selling. That's coming up in April. I host we still do, we did, as I said at the beginning, we used to do a show called Meet the Pros. We have changed that to Meet the Fam because we call our customers the Ecamm fam. So I host that where we just talk with different customers and about what they're doing, what they're up to, and what their experiences have been, which is really fun. Yeah, and then I'm moderating, so I'm in the chat, kind of on the other side as any of our hosts or experts are working through challenges or weekly shows. But yeah, we as a company are live all the time or sharing recorded videos all the time, and I definitely am much more in front of the camera than I ever used to be, so it's been a fun learning experience.
No, that's cool. It sounds fun, a little something different each day.
Yeah.
What about, can you share anything coming up for Ecamm or new features or maybe even stuff you wish they had or feature requests you keep hearing about?
Oh gosh, we have a feature request list that's probably like 10 pages long at this point. We just rolled out Ecamm version 4, which was our huge release for us in the last few months here. So we've been finishing up kind of any of the, final edits and changes as a result of that. But that brought in native multi-streaming, so you can now use Ecamm without any other tools to go to any of the platforms simultaneously. It also brought isolated video and audio recording. So all of our kind of podcasters and content creators who are recording videos wanted to be able to use those individual files to be able to do any kind of post-production work, which was a really big release for us. We partnered with a company called Descript, which is an incredible transcription and editing tool. So now you can send your files automatically through to Descript when you're done recording or live streaming, which has been super helpful for me personally. So
that's awesome.
A huge win for us there. And a number of others. Our next series of features are really focused on collaboration and moderation. So, a lot of kind of bigger teams who are looking for the ability to have more, to have like a comment moderator that sits in the green room and helps out with comments or producers to help out with larger scale interviews and panel discussions and things like that. This year, as I said, we're doing a virtual event April 24th and 25th called Leap into Live Selling, which is going to be really fun. It's completely free. We do a 2-day kind of deep dive into that as a topic with a whole bunch of experts. And then we're doing our first ever in-person event at the end of the year called Creator Camp, which is like a really hands-on workshop-based boot camp basically for all of our creators here in the Boston area. So it's going to be a lot of fun to have everyone in person on the ground, which we're excited
that's so
about.
cool. Is the information on the website for all those events go ahead and plug the website and your stuff now. I guess so that's an easy transition to that.
I mean, the best way to keep up with us, as I said, is in one of our community spaces, our website, ecamm.com. If you want to come out to Leap Into Live, it's leapintolive.com to grab your pass. That's free. And the Creator Camp information we've been slowly teasing and rolling out. We have a wait list going, so you can find that on our website or on any of our social channels.
Oh, that's so cool. Nice. Yeah, what you were saying with the iteration with multiple people and teammates, I think that's great and a great time because it does seem like the virtual events, now that there's software that allows you to make it more engaging and you can have sessions lined up. It's not just come to this Zoom call, there's a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's going to be amazing, and having someone that could be somewhere else and either, rolling the teleprompter, going through comments. Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah. Is that something, do you guys try to do every quarter you're trying to do updates, or is it just
Oh gosh, we're regularly updating. We have a beta testing group, not to throw every link out at you, but we do have a beta testing group. And beta testing is open to all of our active customers, so you can actually run a beta version of the app as well as the full release version at any given point. And they're, that beta group is constantly suggesting all kinds of incredible ideas that our developers are, actively testing out and trying out. So we are releasing updates probably every week. Usually they're small, fixes and changes, and then the bigger ones go out through the beta testing group for testing before they roll out to the next version. But yeah, no, we don't have like a set, we're not doing necessarily everything like once a quarter or once, every 6 months. We are kind of on a rolling schedule of, depends on if it's an easy fix or an easy add, it goes immediately into the beta testing group and then gets rolled out. And if it's a larger thing, then it kind of stockpiles in testing until we roll out the full version.
That's cool. It sounds like it's always busy over there, but
yeah, always fun.
Usually
never
a
a
good
dull
sign.
moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I bet. Well, Katie, thank you so much for taking the time and telling us about. I know as soon as I was playing around with Ecamm, I was like, oh, I kind of want to get someone on there just so I can selfishly learn a little more and see what's going on and everything. So,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping others that are listening to this will get them to check it out. Because again, I was pretty amazed by, it seems so complicated because it does so much, but once you jump in, you can really just make it do just what you want and nothing else. So I think that's really great. So hopefully other people check that out. And it's a free 2-week trial to try out all the features too.
Yeah.
So pretty awesome. Okay, well I'll leave links to everything to check out and everyone can check it out. Hopefully you guys get as much value out of this and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for tuning in to On Camera On Brand. Be sure to check out the links in the show notes and reach out if you have any questions.
Thanks for checking out On Camera On Brand. This episode is produced by Motion, a podcast agency that helps B2B organizations create their own shows. If you enjoyed what you learned, check out more episodes at motionagency.io/oncameraonbrand.